North Hollywood is a 2021 drama film directed by Mikey Alfred and is loosely based on his life and relationship with his father. Ryder McLaughlin plays the main character, Michael, and features many notable skaters such as the Illegal Civilization crew. It's about a high school graduate that wants to become a professional skater and how he tries to make that dream happen. While the main idea of the movie has potential for a great story, the movie fails to explore the idea in an effective way with a plot that pokes at ideas without diving deep into them, an overuse of cameos and filler content, and a very unlikable main character that's static throughout the whole movie until the end. Now to start off, the cinematography of this movie is very strong. Camera work and lighting are done extremely well, and the nighttime scenes are shown very clearly without making it overly bright. Unfortunately, all the shots have some weird vignetting, and vignetting is when the shadow border is used in some shots to add focus or dramatic effect, but this only works in specific types of shots. Most of the shots in this movie didn't need this effect, and it makes the shots look much darker than they need to be. Some of the parts are also filmed like actual skate videos, which can take you out of the movie depending on how you view this. Character relationships are established in a very clear way, and characters written to be likable are actually likable. However, the relationships between characters as the movie progresses doesn't make sense and seems overly dramatized in an unnatural way. A lot of this is due to how Michael is written. This isn't at the fault of the actor, but rather the fault of poor writing. This makes it hard to care about Michael and the conflicts that he has. Michael doesn't have any sort of character development in the movie until the very end, where it's too late for any character development to matter. He is a static character in which he stays the same from the beginning all the way to the end, and the things he does in this movie makes him extremely unlikable. In addition to character writing, characters that were written to be relatable or as a sort of antagonist fail to meet this goal. The Illegal Civilization crew immediately come off as a bunch of spoiled, rude people who intentionally cause and attract trouble, when it was clear that this crew was supposed to be the skate crew the audience could relate to. Now, while this may feel relatable to a younger viewer who dreams of causing trouble, it doesn't accurately represent most skate crews in real life. Michael's dad, played by Vaughn, is supposed to be a sort of antagonist that prevents Michael from achieving his dreams. However, the dad is actually pretty level-headed, in which he is firm and direct to Michael, but it's shown that the dad truly loves and cares about Michael and is just trying to set his future up with what works, and he is never shown to be an abusive father. He actually turned out to be one of the most likable characters in this movie for me, and while this may not relate to the younger audience, as an adult the dad felt much more relatable and likable than Michael. In fact, all the parents in this movie are actually super likable. While it's nice that there's cameos from professional skateboarders, there was way too many notable skaters in the movie. The problem with this oversaturation of cameos is that generally the people in this movie won't be seen as the characters they play, but instead they will be seen as themselves as shown in real life. It's like how when people see Rainn Wilson in any sort of media, they see him as Dwight from The Office instead of the character he is playing or as himself as a person. It's like the movie wants to constantly remind you that it's a skate movie, or that Mikey Alfred wants to flex how many industry people he knows. And as a result, the characters don't feel very real, and I didn't feel very compelled to care about these characters. So from here on out there will be major spoilers, so skip to this timestamp to avoid them. So the main problem I have with this movie is Michael, and his character is just a terrible person, and there isn't much of a sense of redemption until the end. So Michael reveals that he's only in skating for the money and he wants to be a pro, but he doesn't think that his friends take skating very seriously. His love interest, which is Miranda Cosgrove, brings up a good point that they care about other stuff aside from skating, but Michael seemingly rejects this idea. Then from this point, Michael basically starts to lie to his friends about the most petty stuff, like where he's going or why he can't hang out, and he essentially is trying to cut them off and leave them behind because he believes that they can ruin his relationship with a couple pro skaters. Michael also talks shit behind one of the characters, Walker's back, and this character, Walker, was actively trying to connect Michael with industry people that he knew. Michael also refuses to listen to his dad down to the most basic petty stuff, like properly using a shower curtain, or refusing to wear safety equipment when pouring concrete. He also lies to his dad to sneak out to skate, and acts like the consequences of his own actions just came out of nowhere. At this point, Michael just feels like some stupid brat who refuses to listen to anyone. His friends get extremely pissed off at Michael lying, and that's a justified reaction to someone who keeps lying to you over the most petty reasons. And at this point, one of his friends tells Michael that he's changing, but ironically, Michael still feels like the same person as he was in the beginning because he keeps up this habit of lying and talking down on his friends for his own interests throughout the entire movie. Not even a small talk with pro skaters about his attitude stops him from acting like this. Now there's this one scene in the movie that just didn't really make any sense. Michael and his friends, they plan a heist and they basically rob zoomies for a couple decks, which leads them to getting detained. Now this move made zero sense because it's established that his friends come from money, and they could have easily just bought him a deck, like lent him some money or whatnot to buy a deck. There was also no real consequence from this as Michael just gets grounded by his dad, and he doesn't have a police record or anything. Now this part would have been nice to have a local shot featured in this section, but it feels like a conflict was added just for the sake of it. There was also a couple of themes that are brought up that would have been very interesting if these were explored better. At one point in the movie, Michael meets up with some sort of counselor, and the topic of going to college versus not going is brought up, but it's not explored deeper. Now, it would have been interesting to see a fleshed out conflict of the expectations of going to college versus what one actually wants to do, but this concept isn't explored effectively, which is disappointing because I know a lot of people actually struggle with this conflict, and something that would actually talk and explore this idea would have been very relatable to the audience. Sometime later, Walker starts speaking facts about how just skate skill alone won't get Michael anywhere, but the way Walker's character is shown just makes it look like Walker doesn't know what he's talking about. This also would have been a super interesting concept to explore, as what Walker says is true, and there's a lot of background politics in play to get into the top of the skate industry. And I feel like if North Hollywood was written around this idea of someone joining the skate industry and experiencing the politics and drama of it firsthand, that would have been an insanely amazing movie no matter how dramatized it is, and it could have been done as a criticism piece against the skate industry, but this idea isn't brought up again after this point. Later on, one of Michael's friends, Jay, confronts Michael about the lying, and Michael basically admits that he thinks his friends can just bring him down and basically lies to them so they don't ruin his relationship with the pro skaters. But then later on, Michael attempts to reconcile with Jay and his other friend Adolf, which almost shows some character change, but this scene shows that Michael hasn't changed at all since he doesn't think he has anything to apologize for. Then he further insults Adolf because Adolf doesn't skate 24/7 and doesn't have the same interests as Michael, that being a pro skater. And then for whatever reason, Jay and Adolf are shown that they're moving on and have some sort of character progression, with Jay getting ready for college and Adolf working in construction, when it should have been the other way around, where Michael is showing character development, but again, that is absent. And again, Michael comes off as an extremely unlikable, and for a better term, a dick for no reason. And I really can't tell if the movie wants me to feel sorry for Michael, as he's getting consequences for his own actions rather than stuff that he couldn't control. Later on, Michael and Adolf reconcile when Michael invites him to hang out with pros and get him invited to go to a pro skate trip. And then Michael finally talks to his dad about his dreams, and there's finally a character change for Michael. But this impact isn't strong at all because it's at the end of the movie. The good, personal, and meaningful dialogue only happened towards the end of the movie, and I wish there was more present through the entire movie. Now the movie ends with Michael skating away, presumably moved out of the house, and leaving the audience to wonder where his journey takes him next. Now it didn't really occur to me what type of movie this was supposed to be until the end, aside from a drama, and it really feels like this is an anti-hero movie. Now no matter the intentions of the writing team, this was a very weak anti-hero movie. Michael is portrayed as an antagonist and constantly treats other characters like the enemy. Since he has basically zero character development, he goes from an anti-hero to just a villain caused by his own actions. Now if you were to compare this to the 2019 release of The Joker, one of the best anti-hero films of all time, Arthur isn't a good person, nor does the movie try to pretend he is. Instead, we root for the villain because his journey shows that he was constantly beat down by outside factors that he couldn't control, and no matter what he did, he couldn't overcome it until he was basically forced to turn into a villain. If this movie wasn't supposed to be an anti-hero movie, then Michael shouldn't have been written as one. Now, the scenes with Miranda Cosgrove felt very pointless, and if you were to remove her character and the scenes, nothing about the movie would have changed, and that conflict between Michael and his friends would have stayed the same because Michael is still lying to them, even if Miranda Cosgrove wasn't present in the movie. And I don't have much to say about these scenes because there really isn't much to say, and I felt like these were written just so Miranda had an excuse to be in the movie and for Mikey Alfred to put a celebrity name on the movie poster. Overall, this movie was weak, and the amazing cinematography and great acting from a couple actors does not support the weak story and character writing. It fails to be relatable at parts that are supposed to be relatable, but this can be different if you are a younger viewer. Certain concepts are introduced, but not explored deeply enough, if at all. The main character is very unlikable, and there's no incentive to care about him or his journey. I most likely won't be watching this movie again, as I can't relate to the ideas shown, nor did I find it compelling. And that has been another video. If you have any questions or think I missed something, leave a comment below, and as always, hope to see you in the next one.